One of the most common questions I get asked every single week is, how do I choose the right productivity applications? And really there is no straight answer to this, because everyone is going to be different. Everyone is going to have a different way of looking at things. We have visual people who like to see the Kanban board style applications so that it can actually move projects forward. They actually visually see that. There's people like myself who like to see things more in lists. So there are multiple different ways that you can build your own productivity set of applications. But let's just step back a little bit and just think, well, what do you actually need to build a really good productivity system? Well, essentially what you do need is three things. You need a notes application where you can quickly grab notes, ideas, telephone numbers, addresses, anything else like that. You need a place to collect and capture those. Secondly, you need a to-do list manager that's going to manage all the to-dos that you have to deal with on a regular basis. And third, of course, you're going to need a calendar. Now, for me, the calendar is the glue. The calendar is the most important productivity application you have, because it's the calendar that's going to tell you how much time you have available and what you want to be, where you need to be and with who. Your to-do list is essentially just capturing the things that you have to do and presents that in a daily list if you set it up that way. And of course your notes, as I mentioned, is just for capturing your ideas, telephone numbers, meeting notes, or anything else that you may want to collect. So once you've got those three items, how do you choose the best ones? Well, if you are a beginner, I would recommend that you look at the Microsoft, the Google, and the Apple ecosystem. Now, this really does depend on the kind of tools that you use. So for example, if you are a Windows user and you have an Android phone, maybe you want to look at the Microsoft ecosystem, or you want a hybrid between Microsoft and Google. Google Calendar is probably the best calendar out there. And Microsoft OneNote is one of the best note-taking apps out there. And how you use your to-do list manager, it could be Microsoft To Do, or it could be Google Tasks. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, you have a suite of productivity apps too. You've got Apple Notes, which is one of the top note-taking applications at the moment. You've got the new Apple Reminders, which is now a serious contender as a to-do list. And you've also got Apple Calendar, which is often not spoken about, but actually is a very powerful calendar. So I would always recommend that people start with the built-in applications. And one of the reasons for that is quite simply that, as I've discovered, a lot of third-party application makers have a really difficult time, and suddenly, such as with Wunderlist or Newton Mail, they just disappear. And you may have invested a lot of time building a really good system around those third-party apps. So you do need to be careful, and you do need to make sure that the applications that you're using are not likely to disappear. I've been using Todoist for a very long time. Todoist are cash positive, and what that means is they don't need outside investors to keep going. And in the past I've used OmniFocus, which also is a cash positive company, again not needing outside investors. So this is something that you probably need to be looking at to make sure that the applications that you are using are not likely to disappear on you anytime in the near future. So that's where I would always start. Start with the built-in apps. You are safe, they're solid, they're dependable, and you can play around with them and really start to build out your very own system. But once you've got there, once you've got to that level, once you get to like the intermediate and advanced level, maybe you do want to start looking for applications that are going to give you that little bit more power. Now here is where you need to be very careful. What I've found in the past, to my own expense, is if I pick a feature-rich application, and I did this with OmniFocus, which is a brilliant to-do list manager, it has way too many features for me, and I'm the kind of person who wants to try and utilize every single feature. So I ended up spending way too much time playing around with my productivity applications and not enough time doing the work. So I was just creating a huge backlog, but at the same time I felt I was being productive because I had this beautifully organized to-do list manager. I've seen the same with a lot of my coaching clients who are using Notion. Notion is a fantastic app. It's got a lot of features. For me, it's got way too many features, and when I did try it out, I spent a whole afternoon just trying to decide what was the best font, the best background colors, and the best images. Not the best use of my time, which is why in the end I realized that Notion was never going to work for me. But I also see it in other people who are trying to convince themselves that Notion is helping them to be more productive, but they're spending 40 to 50% of their day inside Notion just organizing stuff. That is not being productive. That is procrastinating, and you really need to be aware of something like that. The truth is, the best applications that you can use are boring because you don't spend that much time in them. You don't want to spend that much time in them. All you want them to do is to tell you what to do next, or to give you the information that you need in order to do whatever it is you want to do. That's it. If you're playing around with color choices, if you're playing around with options and settings, that is procrastination. No matter how you want to tell it that it is not, I promise you, if you're messing around with settings, colors, fonts and stuff like that, you are procrastinating. What you need to be doing is doing the work, and that ultimately is what the best set of applications will do for you. They will give you what you need to do and allow you to get on and do it without trying to drag you in and play around with different ways of organizing lists and so on. So be very careful when you're selecting applications. Now, one of the things that I've often told people is if you're going to choose an application, you've got to give it time. You've got to allow yourself 6 months to a year with that application to really learn how to use it, so it becomes almost second nature. I know all the keyboard shortcuts I need to know to get my notes into my computer or my phone, to get my to-dos in, and also to get my calendar events in. I can do that incredibly fast because I'm not switching applications all the time. I spend the time to learn those apps, and that's what you have to do. Don't just think, oh, this isn't working, I'm going to try another app, or this isn't working, I'm going to try another app. You will never find the perfect app. You will have to find workarounds, and that's part of the joy, it's part of the journey, finding your own workarounds. Okay, hopefully this has given you a few pointers to give you a direction in order to choose the right set of apps for you in order to get yourself better organized and more productive. Well, thank you very much for watching this episode. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Thank you very much for watching this video. Now I have a question for you. Are you ready to go beyond the to-do list? Now, the reason I ask that question is because your to-do list is never going to do the work for you. Your to-do list is only ever going to show you what needs to be done. And that often can cause a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and a lot of overwhelm. What really helps you to get your work done and what really helps you to become much more productive is developing your own workflow. A workflow that you work from every single day that makes sure that you stay focused on the things that you have identified are the most important things to you. Now that could be your work, it could be your goals, it could be your family, it could be your personal life, it could be your self-development. Whatever that is entirely personal to you. But the key is to develop the workflow so that you are consistently making small steps towards achieving the things that you want to achieve every single day. And that's why I have developed my Productivity Mastermind course, creating your very own custom workflow. And I would love for you to check out the course. The course is available now, details of which are in the notes below, and I would just love to see you in this course. So please join me in the Productivity Mastermind course, developing your very own custom workflow, because this is a course that's going to take you way beyond the to-do list so that you start to really move forward on the goals and the things that you have identified are important to you. Thank you very much.